And alright, it's the second part of the trial. We somehow extended it for today. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. How's Matt sound again? I forgot. Like, dude, surfer bro, dude, I can't believe that Adrian. Dude. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? You went. I was sleeping like a log the entire time. You were sleeping in your costume? That's a little weird. It's like sleeping in your work clothes, you know? Unless, I guess, if you're very exhausted. See, she could also, she could have also easily planted the blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Then dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial is over. You'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze. Okay, Mr. Lord Dude? Phoenix, you think her motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impact's as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note, and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And what does he have in his mouth anyway? You know, what is that? Like just a piece of grass? Isn't that like, I don't know, I feel like that's a trope of some sort. I don't know if it implies anything, but you know, so I guess, yeah, sometimes people put something in their mouths, I guess, as like a character trait. I guess usually it's like a cigarette, maybe? Usually, but I don't know. I guess not a cigarette, it's just a piece of grass. I don't know. Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. The one that hit the suicide note, I guess. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impact's. Edgeworth? Yeah, it was Edgeworth. He told us everything about this whole thing in the first place. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. I mean, he predicted all of this in the first place, right? Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt On Guard. I see. Now then, before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. I would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. Well, if the Joe was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. Yeah, it's me. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then, witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room, and there was his dead body. I was in shock. Gasp! No. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. Ah yes, when I see a dead body, I just, pour myself a drink and drink some juice to calm the nerves. Maybe, I don't know. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of the crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, and she has brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on her, your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Gotta bombard her with, I don't know, with tricks, I guess. Gotta trick her somehow. And what was Mr. On Guard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini-performance as a Nico Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. On Guard did say he was taking a nap. Then I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? It? What are you... Right. I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence for a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. On Guard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. Subject, verb, grammar, object. Funny thing, well, it's kind of like a tangent, but in Japanese, the order of the sentence structures actually, it tends to be reversed. I can't remember exactly. It tends to be like, I think, subject, order, verb, instead of subject, verb, object. English, yeah, obviously this is the order, but in Japanese, it's slightly different. And it's a common thing in a lot of languages. Often people learning a different language, if they have a different sentence structure that takes a different order, then it's kind of harder to learn because you gotta wrap your brain around the words being a little bit different in that sense. I know in Japan, yeah, English to Japanese, it is a bit different in that sense. Anyway, and why did you do that? Why did you go to Juan's room? As a friendly gesture, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, right? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim. Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what do you see? Anyone in the room? Dead body. You were in shock. What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Korida. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. You can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. Then, what did you do next, witness? Interesting. Everything the same as the crime scene photo. Juice? Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on a table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down, without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself in a glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank. I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake, that one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry, I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. Looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal in your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I was the one who knocked the flower vase over, or found the guitar case. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Juan's pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser. And that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. That's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. It doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradiction in her testimony just now. I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. The only way you're going to catch her is with some very strong decisive evidence. I have to find something. I just have to, for Maya's sake. She's starving. She needs those burgers. She can't survive at least without 10 burgers a day. Fell into the guitar case. She meant to mention that before. Exact same scene as the crime scene photo. And she also knocked over the flower vase. You know, the problem with that... Well, I keep looking at this one, because I see photo, but it's not this one. It's the other one. It's this one, this photo. So supposedly she knocked the flower vase on the floor. And also, she also mentioned that when she came into the crime scene, it was exactly as seen here. Including the guitar case that was open. We also saw that guitar case. I don't know if there's anything in the court record that says this, but okay, yeah, right here. There's some water, but it's on top of the lid, which kind of doesn't make sense. If it was open when she came in, if it was open, then there would at least be some water, I guess, in the actual inside of the case, and maybe some shards as well. I don't know. It depends, I guess, how exactly she knocked the vase over. But you'd imagine there'd be at least a bit of something inside the case, not on top of it. So, I think that's the contradiction. It's the fact that, well, let's see. I think, well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to prove. Okay, is it? Am I saying there's supposed to be something in the case, or maybe something in here? Actually, I don't know. I think because I'm trying to say that when she came into the crime scene, the guitar case couldn't have been open already. You know, it would have been closed, not open. So what do I present? Do I present the guitar case or the crime photo? I think the crime photo, because it shows the guitar case was open. Okay, I'm gonna try. You testify that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case would have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. You liar! That's very true. Furthermore, there's one strange thing about this guitar case. Another strange thing. And what is that? Well, let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. Once again. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No, think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be, however... the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems there's no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? Well, I mean, why did she open it in the first place? That might imply something. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach straws like this, but it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Even you don't know? What do you mean by that? You can't just say you don't know. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using any way to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. I kinda use that all the time though. I kinda use anyway. A lot. Anyway. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see. Are you sure you're the only one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependence eye is taking over. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. after... So you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Miss Corda's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has stated multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. It's not a big deal. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. Those trials would be over in half the time you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but... she's at her weakness now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with... just take out a gun and shoot her. No, I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. Something in the court record. I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. Oh, okay. Okay, I was a bit confused in days as well. You know, just after Mia said that, because I wasn't sure if there was evidence. But you know, looking at the court record right here, guitar case empty. There's some water, but only on top of the lid. Bears Corda's fingerprints. So, if she touched the guitar case, then there would be fingerprints, wouldn't there be? Right? Yeah, I suppose I must have opened the guitar case. But there's no evidence of her touching the guitar case in the first place. Objection! There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. My dear Watson. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim. Oh. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves with the scene of the crime. That's strange, considering you have fingerprints on the frickin' wine glass! You're wearing gloves. Is that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yes! Miss AA? I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Oh. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Glasses explode. Oh, she has a second pair. You know, glasses are very expensive, as it turns out. I think, well, I don't know the reason. Probably because, I mean, again, probably like, just like a monopoly on eyeglasses and whatnot. And companies tend to skyrocket the prices, you know, to keep up with insurance and all that. So, I don't know. I mean, it's relevant to me because I wear glasses. I hate the fact that glasses cost so much. I also, well, it's a bit of a tangent again, but I'm wondering, like, you know, there's ways to buy glasses online as well. I think I've been looking that up. I don't know how, you know, I don't know how reliable that is, you know, compared to buying it at a store. But anyway, looks like you hit the nail on the head this time and destroyed her glasses. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here, but it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar, was at the studio? Phoenix, drop all your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the windows is not wearing gloves despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please, enlighten us to why the guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well... Let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that the bright black guitar... Why is everyone just... Everyone's just so concerned the fact that it has to be guitar, I guess. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours, you haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? My badge. No. This photo? Ticket? No. Receiver? This stolen camera? No, Miss Oldbag had it. Magazine clipping? Maybe? Maybe not, I don't know. Map? No. I mean, this clipping we got from Powers. We got like a physical thing. The guitar inside the guitar case was another guitar case. No. Wine glass? That doesn't make any sense. This phone? No. This button? I mean, it doesn't make sense considering that the blood supposedly, like we have to assume, it was only covered in blood. Like during the murder, and also we found it, in Angar's hakama, which is weird. Suicide note? Maybe? Autopsy. This knife was found on him. Lotto's photo. I mean, everything else, it seems implausible that would be found in the case, right? I assume like an object. A person was hiding in there, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Pearl could hide in there, but Pearl isn't in the guitar case, I don't think. Okay, what was the reason that Adrian was in a relationship with Corda in the first place? And why would she go looking around in the crime scene as well? She was looking for a suicide note, right? That was the whole reason she was with a relationship with Juan from the beginning. So maybe she was looking for a suicide note? I don't know, I mean, there's this, right? Suicide note hidden. Nothing else that relates to the suicide note. We don't have the actual suicide note, obviously. So maybe she was looking for a suicide note, right? That's what she was looking for. Maybe. Why would something like that be inside a guitar case? Let alone this one. Maybe not. Why, Mr. Wright, why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion, why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? No. They're bringing it out again? No! Well, there's only one penalty this time. Can't get a foolishly foolish fool get some love. Do you think you still proved your theory? Can you prove that the guitar case is not empty at the time of the murder? What was inside this case at the time of the murder? I have no idea. Maybe in a roundabout way. Okay. So she went and opened the guitar case with her gloves on. Then she saw the Nico Samurai costume. And so, for some reason, she started changing into the costume, right? But then she touched this wine glass with her actual fingerprints and left it on the dresser. And then she finished wearing the costume. And then she left the scene of the crime in costume. Maybe because she didn't want to be implicated or something like that. I don't know. That's another guess, I guess. Another hypothesis that maybe there's a costume within the guitar case. You know? Maybe? I had to like wrap my head around that. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the Nico Samurai costume. In which case do I present this? I mean, this is the actual Nico Samurai, right? This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. In this picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I am proposing is... Inside the guitar case was the Nico Samurai, the hero's very own costume. What? That doesn't make sense though. I mean, wasn't Juan Corrida like the Jammin' Ninja? Why would there be a costume in the guitar case? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Yeah, explain yourself. I don't get it. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point was there to be doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone else see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? Oh yeah, I keep thinking that she's just a witness, but actually if she was the killer, then that's why she put on the costume, maybe. I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Well, just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order, order! It looks like we've wandered into quite a mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy, speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nico Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Matt on guards. Why would something of the defendant be in the victim's room? Inside the guitar case of all places? True, that's a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nico Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? I assume it was a spare costume? Maybe? I mean, it was stolen from On Guard, it kind of makes no sense. Unless, well, I don't know, it could be like a spare costume that he stole, you know, that'd be both things. I think it is a spare costume. Maybe? Well, Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. Yeah, because he was, like, sleeping in this costume, which, as we saw before. In that case, the costume we're talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nico Samurai costumes at the Gidwater Hotel? Oh yes, that's what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Courtner, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nico Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What? What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Ah, no, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai's spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim bought the Nickel Samurai spare costume in the hotel was... Press conference ticket, anything else? This is my hypothesis. Man on guard doesn't seem to be lying about, like, confessing something in the post-ceremony stage show. So maybe it was a different Nickel Samurai that was about to confess something. And that would be maybe the victim who's gonna wear that costume and confess something. Because again, Matt didn't know anything about that, the actual Nickel Samurai. So someone else would have been doing the confessing instead. Maybe someone else in that costume. And why would that costume be in his guitar case? Because Korida was gonna use it. Right? Why did the reason bring some? Why did he bring it? Why did he bring it? There's nothing else, I mean, I don't know, there's nothing else that relates to Korida. Except this. He brought it because he wanted to roleplay as the Nickel Samurai. With Adrian. Maybe, I don't know. Confess something, I think. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was gonna hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. Once you're not making something up, right? But what struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? Well, the way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Korida himself. The victim? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Korida was going to hold a press conference as the Nickel Samurai. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? I guess, but I mean... It still kind of doesn't make sense to me because how do you mask the voice, you know? I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe Juan Korida has a very similar voice to Matt and then he can like, I don't know, make it sound like him, maybe? I don't know. That guy doesn't make sense. But I don't... But why would the victim do such a thing? Well, that's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at the conference. But again, maybe he could have used like a tape recorder, maybe? Assuming like he got a confession from Matt himself? Some kind of weird secret? I don't know. Or maybe he used like a voice changer, I don't know. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he's going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Korida, posing as a Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on Guard. Yes, I guess that's what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Miss Andrews, I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year, and if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure that Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. Ongar's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Ongar? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. You had to protect him? This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's no more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine, Mr. Wright. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight in this and turn her logic upside down. Trying to protect Matt. What do you mean by that? Like, using the costume and everything? That's weird. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think these 3 things, if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in lawyer school, at least not from what I remember. Shouldn't they? They should have. May I continue now? Matt had to kill. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Ongar. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Ongar himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? I know what his motive is, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. Ongar done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Carla with his press conference, and that event was supposed to bring down Mr. Ongar, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. Ongar, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? He didn't have any alibi, was doing it at the time. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. Ongar was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. Ongar? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws of what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at me, huh? He's glaring at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button. It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the jamming ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? The button was found in the pleats of Matt Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Oh, thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. 2 more sentences. That's added on. The button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads in the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. I heard that before. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that, just because I'm prepared and you're not. And I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? But what you really did was just stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Angard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Kurita planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Angard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. And please stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. I got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Wow. I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. That's pretty vague. I don't know if that's something I can present evidence on. The button was torn off of Juan during his fight. This is another added-on testimony. There's something wrong with this. The button was torn off. Button was torn off? Maybe? Well, what's the autopsy? Because I'm thinking like, what is it? Strangle with a scarf and then stab with a knife. Strangle with a scarf and then stab with a knife. Because I'm thinking, why is there blood on the button if it was ripped off during the fight, not after the fight? Because it was strangled first and then stabbed, not stabbed and then stabbed again. That kind of makes no sense, right? Why is there, if it was ripped off during the fight, then why is there blood on it? Unless he was stabbed during the fight, but the autopsy clearly says he was strangled and then stabbed. You know, assumedly, like he was strangled like into like unconsciousness and then stabbed. Not like stabbed and then stabbed again, and then like he stabbed and ripped off the button and then stabbed again. That makes no sense. He only stabbed once, right? And then if he was only stabbed once, why did the button have blood on it, you know, if it was ripped off during a fight, not after the fight? I'm thinking. This is, I'm like 90% sure. Let's see. Uh-oh. Okay, this is not correct after all, actually. I'll say they contradictory, really? Objection denied. Darn it, I was wrong. Maybe not. So I think, okay, this is a Hail Mary, but I think maybe this sentence is what I should pretend evidence on, because you felt how to protect them, and yet you came out in a costume? Nope, that's wrong. Darn it. Penalize. Court over. He's guilty. Maya's dead. Everything is horrible. Oh well. I have multiple theories. For one, this is the person leaving the hallway. It could we did say that it couldn't have been Matt. So it couldn't have been Matt that came out of the room. So it must have been someone else that he had a fight with, you know? But I think I already showed that it didn't work. I also tried to say that, you know, looking at this picture, this button shouldn't have been ripped off during the fight, because why is there a bunch of blood on it, you know? Because if it was like a actual like brawl, you know, maybe there was like a bunch of blood, you know, with blood on him everywhere, stabbed a million times, and then there was some blood on the button, and then it got ripped off, and then stabbed one more time. But otherwise, why would he be stabbed, and then I guess still be alive? He was strangled though, right? He was strangled, unconscious, and then stabbed, and then the button came off. Not he was strangled and then ripped off the button, because if he ripped off the button before he was stabbed, there wouldn't be blood on it. That's what I was trying to say. But I showed the crime photo, and the button doesn't prove anything. According to the courtroom, that doesn't prove anything. So that my hypothesis there is disproven, at least for now, I guess. So it's not that. Wine glass. I can't find anything out of the ordinary, except maybe the autopsy? He was strangled with a scarf and then stabbed with a knife? That's another thing, I guess. Again, the whole like button thing wasn't ripped off during the fight, it was ripped off after. Maybe I need to show the autopsy instead? You know? The fact that he was strangled, you know, into unconsciousness and then stabbed. And then the button was ripped off. Not before. Right? Okay. Anyway. I thought this and this was enough, but I guess it's supposed to show the autopsy, not the button itself and not the actual photo, because I thought it was apparent by looking at the photo that he was strangled. But I guess you have to show the autopsy report specifically. Anyway. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. Really? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I thought it was because it says here, like, it was strangled with a scarf and then stabbed with a knife. You think, because I guess I don't really understand autopsy. I thought the cause of death was both of these things, you know? He was strangled and stabbed, like a combo, right? You know? Double death? But I guess, what is supposed to... Then I wish the autopsy was more specific, you know? He was simply strangled with a knife. That's it. It shouldn't say stabbed with a knife. But I guess that would make it too easy, I don't know. Anyway, he was stabbed after the victim already died. And what does that mean? Well, let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Yeah, I guess that was partially what I was trying to get at. But I guess what I guess the most relevant thing is the fact that he was strangled, you know? Alright. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body. Order, order. What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off of the body after the victim already died? What does that change? Well, let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight, so the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this off from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with the button? What was it? To have a memento, yes. I kill my victims and I take something from them. No, that's weird. Unless, I guess maybe a serial killer would do that. To destroy evidence. I mean, it's not destroyed, so it's not to destroy evidence. It's to frame on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There's no way anyone will put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up until this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... something I'll choose after I take a drink. My throat is getting a little dry, actually. The whole strangulation incident has made my neck a little strangled as well. Well, I don't know if that makes sense. Anyway. So it can't be Maya. She's kidnapped. Pearl's right here. It's not Gumshoe. It's not Von Karma. Edgeworth is right here. He can't. He was. I don't think he was there in the first place. Will Powers. He was with us the whole time. Lotta Hart was outside the hallway. Victim's dead. Maz, our defendant. Oldbag was also hiding out in the hallway. Adrian basically is the killer we're trying to pin this crime on, I think. It also impacts maybe her motive. So yeah, it must be Adrian Andrews, obviously. You know, usually is the case that, you know, who's the real killer? Often, it's the person in the witness stand, at least in the Phoenix Wright game, coincidentally. Miss Adrian Andrews, I choose you! I choose you! Go! Pokemon! You know? Anyway, you are Mr. Kurida's killer. What? I am! More glasses destroyed. Order, 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 Mr. Wright. This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Or any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? Well, the knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room, and the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. And put on a knife, I said knife? Did I say knife? I said glasses. You put on a pair of glasses. The third pair of glasses she has now. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? But this button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. No, Fourth pair. The only person who could have put this button in Mr. Engarde's Hakama is the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. Alright, she's putting on a new costume, right? That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known there was such a costume inside the guitar case? It could have only been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case, and it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That is weird, yes. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So as to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass with tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Wow! Fifth pair of glasses! To top it all off, there was this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth could believe this Nico Samurai is Mr. Engarde. He would have been much too short for his own costume if it was him. Now, speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? But please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Well, yes. You are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. I guess, yeah, you can plead the fifth. Well, actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Engarde's room... Adrian Andrews. Oh, yeah, probably Von Karma that told her that. Yes? By the way, when Phoenix is like, you know, grilling you very hard, then just plead the fifth. It's really easy, just do it. Alright. Okay. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things looked bad. Well, you did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You've yet to prove a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Korda. Miss Andrews, you did want to kill Mr. Korda? Or did you want to kill Miss Korda? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? What? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. I present like a ton of evidence. In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess. Recess. I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial? Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... But it's impossible to continue as long as the witnesses refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true, Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there's one little thing that I've been curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. Well, dead bodies just make me thirsty. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. Edgeworth saves the day, even though I think he doesn't know anything about Naya. I guess he's just trusting that Phoenix, for whatever reason, is panicking, and I guess trusts us that we're not, you know, trying to necessarily win the trial or trick him or anything. We sincerely just want the trial to continue for whatever reason, and Edgeworth is trying to help us, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please. That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. Convenient. So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why did you say so in your earlier testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay. Well, I think I already know the contradiction. I see it already, but let's press the statements. You know, sometimes the contradiction is really, really obvious. Other times, not so much, as it turns out. Anyway. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there's a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be reviewed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely! I couldn't have said it better myself. Double teaming him out of nowhere. That's not a mistake. So it was a mess. Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Corrida? I understand your frustrations of not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. Then what did you see next, okay? sitting there, tired looking, slumped over. Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. Like this? I guess he does look tired, but... He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me or that right there sounded a little odd? Then what did cross your mind? I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix, and then felt tired after his rampage, so he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought. I see, so you didn't think he was dead at all. To be honest, he like fainted or something. You thought he fainted. I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state, I thought maybe he had gone into a fight with someone. And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice? Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. And so Joanne always has a glass of tomato juice to drink. I see. So after that, what happened next? And how did you come to realize that he was in fact dead? I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backward and knocked the flower vase over, so that's what happened. Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides, and Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now's our best chance to yet kill the prosecution's case. Well, isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, will you tell us the truth this time? Well, I mean, here you go. When I saw him say like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. Really? Really, Adrian? You know, with his knife sticking out of him? He's just sleeping, don't worry about it. Yeah, I don't think so, Adrian. I don't think so. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Corda's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought the hero was a dead man. Well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted, and then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is? Miss Andrews, your testimony just now, it was all one giant lie. No, six pair of glasses, and your lie has proven one thing very clearly, that you are the real killer. Nah. No, man. Oh well. It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Ongard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt. I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify, and your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. Then there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Matt Ongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Well, usually the real killer confesses. He has like a breakdown, you know, when they like give a whole spiel of why they killed the person, and they might have a tragic backstory, or they might not. They may be an asshole, but generally, that's what happens. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Man on guard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down the verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What do you... Witness, don't you understand yet? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Madame Guard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Franziska von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yes, yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Madame Guard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undoubtedly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get her not guilty. That's my only priority. Well, let me just save a little. Don't worry about that. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please. Someone. Help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who's the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it would be except the woman crying over there, you know? This frail little small woman crying like that, right? Totally. That's the true evil killer, right? Come now. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? Okay, actually, I want to save here, actually. Save! So what should we do? I mean, we can force Andrews to testify and get more of the truth out of her. See what's truly going on, maybe. Or, we can simply just request a non-guilty verdict right now and end the trial because, well, we only have one day. Maya's kidnapped, and if we don't get the non-guilty verdict right now, Maya's gonna die from starvation of not eating enough burgers, you know? We have to save Maya. No matter what. We have to save our psychic waifu. If we force Andrews to testify, then this trial might go on another day, and we won't be able to save Maya. That's not something we can risk, can we? So we must request a not guilty verdict. And we know Madame Guard wasn't the killer, right? Right? We did the Cyclock thing. So... no matter what she says, Miss Andrews is the only person it could be. Not to mention, I don't have a choice. I have to win a complete acquittal today. Your Honor, the defense believes there's enough evidence to substantiate our claim. Therefore, we motion that this court passes a verdict of not guilty as soon as possible. I'm disappointed in you, Wright. What have you learned in this past year? That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I'd hoped things wouldn't come to this. However, What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. Oh, okay. So it's not over yet. I was thinking maybe it might be over just because of that, but I guess not. Apparently Edgeworth is revealing her secret. You know, we kept quiet about it, but Edgeworth, I guess, isn't. What? And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop! Please stop! No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please, please stop! I beg you! If people find out... I'll... If you're going to say you would choose death, there's no concern to me. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. Edgeworth is very... I don't know what the word is. He's very Edgeworth, isn't he? So, will you tell the court yourself or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. Okay. We're getting that testimony after all. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then, I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished, I was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. That's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. Stab the body? With the knife? But why would you do that? Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... that is the truth. The real killer is Matt, the scumbag of a man. I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with the murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Madame Guard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. Being honest now? That kinda sucks for us. But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say that you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. But that scarf is part of the Jammin' Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan, he was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at the dinner has fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed the body, ripped off the button. So you were the one to stab the victim with the knife. It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. So you thought to rip off one of the buttons off, and then plant it in Mr. Ongar's hakama. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? A bit of a inconvenience. An inconvenience. There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering at the hallway. Oh, I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lada. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I'd already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. That's why I ended up using the Nico Samurai costume. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes. Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is this secret? That I don't know. Anyway, I thought if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nico Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want to know anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Ongar's room and planted the button. Into Matt's hakama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into the bag. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does this all mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt on guard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should under no circumstances confess to what I had done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer. Wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of the witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. I can't! But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. Immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Maya is dead. Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth? What is it? Before you leave court today, I wondered if I might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright, I remember just now. I found this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found that card next to the victim's body. I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not, but still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to this case, I don't see why... Witness! That card! Give it to me, hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? I can't believe you hid this from me all this time. I didn't mean to... What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? And what does it mean? I don't know. Is it Exodia, the Forbidden One, to collect all the other pieces and, you know, maybe not. Alright, save point! I saved earlier, well... I saved earlier because I thought that there'd be something we can do there, but I guess not. Never mind.